thank you for coming this evening. My name is Thomas Rollins and I'm a Year 11 student at Clares Court School, and I am the chairperson of this Clares Court public speaking team. To my left, I have Harry Gowland. Harry is also a Year 11 student at Clares Court and will deliver the vote of thanks. To my right is Tom Clark, who is our main speaker. Now, I must begin our presentation tonight with a warning and a partial apology. Tom will be talking about organ donation. He'll be informing us about a subject that we have found makes many people uncomfortable to discuss. This is a subject they would rather ignore, in the hope it will never affect them. Tom Clark feels passionately about this subject, as do we all. We are all GCSE Religious Studies and Biology students, and have found in different ways that a key moral and ethical topic is organ transplants. This is a subject which we are all deeply in favour of, but also, as ethical people, we recognise the views of others who may have different views, sometimes because of their religious beliefs. Although many religious believers are in favour of organ transplants because they see it as upholding the sanctity of life. The definition of organ transplants via Wikipedia, the research bible for every student, is an operation of moving an organ from one person, the donor, to another, the recipient, but not as one of my friends thought, which was the removal of a piano. Whilst I was preparing the speech, I realised how nerve-wracking public speaking can be, and it made me wonder, can you transplant nerves? But unfortunately, you cannot. But seriously though, as potential organ donors, we all have the power to commit the most selfless act, and when our life comes to an end, we can save another person's life. So that is the reason for us being here today. Therefore, I will now hand over to Tom Clark to deliver our main speech.
There are so many things we do from an early age without thinking. We move without thinking. We see without thinking. And we breathe without thinking. Imagine if you could not do these things, because you did not have the functioning organs which you needed. Do you have an organ donor card? I have two. I am one in more than 18 million people who have signed up to the organ donor register, and I have made a commitment to help others live after I die. You may think 18 million sounds like a lot, but only a very few number of people die in circumstances in which an organ can be transplanted. That is why there is an organ shortage. One young lady named Emily Thackeray was born with cystic fibrosis, a genetic disorder. This meant she had various respiratory and digestive problems. Emily had only weeks to live. Luckily, she underwent a double lung transplant in the nick of time, saving her life. She says, "Words cannot express my gratitude to my donor and their family. I was determined to live. All my dreams depend on their decision. They have saved my life." But not everyone can be as lucky as Emily. Please picture the scene if you will. There is a hospital bed, a few comics scattered along the side table, and all that can be heard above the normal hospital noise is gentle clicking and whirring of the dialysis machines. On this bed, there is a child. He has only days, hours, seconds to live. He is going to die. Now, that child is your child. Think about all the things we do for people we love. If this was your relative, your friend, or yourself, you would want somebody to be generous enough to save their life. In the song, "Dumb Ways to Die," one dumb way to die is to sell both your kidneys on the internet. You may think this is a silly idea, however, this does happen. One man actually attempted to sell his kidney on eBay, only to have it removed from the site. Before it was removed, the price reached $5,750. The World Health Organization has revealed that kidneys are now illegally trading at an estimated 10,000 kidneys annually. This is over one an hour. Most patients go to places such as India, Pakistan, or China and can pay up to £128,000 for a kidney from gangs who harvest organs from weak, vulnerable, desperate people for little money. One organ broker in China actually advertises controversial services under the slogan, "Donate a kidney, buy a new iPad." The growth of the number of legitimate organs available and so the growth in number of organs sold illegally is down to two factors. First, a reduction in the number of legitimate organ donors, due in part to a better seatbelt legislation, which has meant that more young adults die prematurely. And second, an increase in number of organs which are needed for transplant, which has become more routine in recent years. As a result, organised criminals can now harvest organs. As a result, organised criminals can now make a fortune from unethical clinics who harvest organs from vulnerable people and for wealthy patients. Some of you may think if someone wants to sell their organ, it's fine. It's their choice, and they are free to do what they wish. However, organ trafficking operates in various ways. Some people are kidnapped and forced into giving up an organ. Some, out of financial desperation, agree to sell their organ. And some are duped into believing they need an operation and an organ is taken without their knowing. And some victims can be murdered to order if a large sum has been paid in advance. Children are often targeted. If you were offered an organ illegally, would you accept it, knowing that you could live for longer? Would you feel guilty, knowing that somebody may have been brutally murdered in order to gain an organ? I think the former. I don't think you would think twice about accepting an organ. Now, if it was your son or daughter that was brutally murdered to gain an organ, well, that's a different story, isn't it? One very controversial topic which is crossing people's minds is, should we keep the current opt-in system or change to an opt-out system? England, unlike Wales, currently uses the opt-in system, which means that people can sign up to the organ donor register to agree to have their organs donated after death. However, there are various problems with this. Some people may not know about the system, may forget to sign up, or may not know how it works. I hope that after this speech, you decide to donate your organs. However, I am worried that you may go home and quickly watch the latest episode of EastEnders and forget all about it. However, if there was an opt-out system, you could choose to remove yourself from the list so there wouldn't be these problems. In conclusion, I think that changing to an opt-out system is the best thing for England. This will solve the organ shortage problem and the problem of illegal organ trafficking. I'd like to finish with a quick motivational message. Always give 100%, unless donating blood. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tom. I'd now like to ask Mr. Blackgow to propose his question to Tom.
Well, my question all the way through your speech was leading up to where you finished, which is about opting in and opting out. And I think the vast majority of people in theory would agree that opting in gives them some space, gives them some relief from unfortunately their organs. Personally, I think that somebody, the government, relation, should go for automatic donation unless you opt out. But how on earth are we going to do that? Have you in researching this thought of how we might generate some publicity, get the campaign going, get the government to think seriously about it?
Well, I think the best way is to get some press on this and get the television to mention this, and if we have a petition and all these people will sign it, I think that could make the government think about it. I think they already are thinking about it, but I really think that if we can get them to realise and can make big stories, if the news doesn't muck about with all these celebrities just doing things which it doesn't really matter, to be honest, and we talk about saving lives, that is the best thing. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blackgow, and thank you again, Tom. I'd now like to hand over to Harry Gowland to deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you, Tom. Now, when I first heard the topic this team would elect to tackle, my first thought was this. How on earth am I going to make a joke of this? As you see, I'm generally comical by nature.
However, my second thought was this: challenge accepted. I say this, but as time went on and no jokes made themselves evident, I began to become worried. My colleagues had finished their speeches, and I was on, well, this line. But then a thought occurred. I couldn't think of a joke to make, because there was no joke. And hearing Tom's speech truly hammered this home to me. One point he made that particularly shocked me was the brazen fashion in which the slogan for the kidney writing business was written. Donate a kidney, buy the new iPad. This undertoned the darkness of the business itself, that people were giving away their own organs to irreputable, dangerous groups of people, some even against their will. Tom even mentioned that some organ targets were murdered to order to further the ends of the organ brokers. All of this, combined with the figure Tom gave us earlier, £128,000, makes me sick to my stomach, knowing that criminals are profiting illegally from what can be, in certain cases, a genuine act of kindness. Tom is absolutely justified in bringing this alarming topic to our attention. I absolutely agree with his convictions that we need to implement an opt-out system in this country. We must act now, or as Tom says, lives will be lost. And to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I've come up with this joke. 69% of people do not carry an organ donor card. No, it's just not funny. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Clark.
Thank you, Harry, and thank you, Tom. That concludes our Clare's Court public speaking presentation.